I see this as an opportunity to see who's going to fight Jon Jones. Since you're new to this, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, thanks, Sean, for that introduction. So, my name's Rhys. I'm the newest member to the Torch team, MMA Torch.com, and MMA Torch on your main social media channels. I'm currently living in the UK, sort of the voice for this part of the world for the Torch. I'll be looking to cover, report on the main stories revolving around MMA, giving you a bit of a British twist to it at times as well, whether that be for UFC, whether that be just main talking points and other organisations. But basically, I'm here as part of this team to provide you with very, very real and unique, I'd say, content alongside myself and Sean and the rest of the team.
Basically, he'll be reporting when Darren Till gets his ass whooped, is what he said. As soon as he gets his ass whooped, we're going to hear from Rhys. But that's a good update. Darren Till just took another L. Actually, when is his next fight, actually?
Well, I'm hearing, obviously, there's a card in London on, I believe it's March 19th, but because of what you've just said, the ass beating that he took in his last fight, I don't think he wants to return that quick. So the word on Darren Till is that there is no word right now.
Wow. You would think that he would want to jump back in there just to remain relevant. Maybe he'd change camps. I think that's always the worst thing you could do when you get old, because now it's just desperation. No, I think it's the best thing you could do early on. And I see why people do it, but I don't think the mentality is the right one. Is, oh, I'm desperate. It's like, no, start all the way over as if you're going to be doing it for another 20 years, another 10, 20 years. A lot of people are just like, oh, maybe I can make some quick changes. No. People have been wrestlers for all of their lives. People have been strikers for all of their lives. You're not just going to get a quick fix and then go from there. Some people can, but that's because they're already real well-rounded. So hopefully, I asked because he's probably going to be on the bum couch soon. I think he is on the bum couch, actually. Let's be for real. He's a bum right now. But he's the type of guy that could actually sell a fight. He sold that fight to Masvidal. He had to pay for it, unfortunately.
Oh, definitely.
He sold the fight though. And I was going into that thinking Till might have had the edge because Till can knock you out and he's a long guy, but yeah, well, that was bullshit as we saw. But enough about him. Did you see this last Saturday's fight card?
So I've watched parts of it. I have been busy this weekend with something else, but obviously Chikadze in the main event, looking as bad as you pretty much can look in terms of the physical damage. I've seen various photos of him, so good win for Calvin Kattar. I mean, I'll defer to you to start with it if you've watched it, but
I actually didn't. I saw the aftermath. I didn't get to watch it. As you know, I'm moving. I got a lot going on. I'm moving boxes right now. Yeah. So I didn't get to see the card the way I wanted to. I wanted to see the Chikadze fight. Don't know who won that. I haven't even really looked up results. I've just been packing boxes and making phone calls and making sure my mail doesn't, turn to stay where I'm not. But Calvin Kattar, not a fan. Don't care. He's so boring to me. On paper, it's not necessarily him. I don't mind him It's just that I see that name and I don't care. I look at his stats and I don't care. I see his fights and I don't care. He's not finishing anybody. Sure, he had a great fight here. That's not what I'm not saying he doesn't have great fights and that he can't fight. I'm saying I don't give a shit, and he doesn't make me. I'd rather see Darren Till do something. Um, it's unfortunate that he won that fight because I don't think that he's going to get anywhere near where he needs to be to not get his ass whooped in a title fight like Donald Cerrone would. You know, he screams out Donald Cerrone, a guy that can fight, win fights, and be cool as far as his work rate. But then you put him in, you put him in front of somebody who's hungry and they're whooping his ass. Am I wrong?
No.
So that dude, like, it's weird because I hate to do that in a way that, yeah, I wish I had watched that fight. I wanted to. I wrote about it. I wrote about the, coming up with it, leading up to the fight. That morning I wrote an article, 3 fights to watch, and that was one of them because I thought he could win the fight, but I thought he'd do it in unimpressive fashion. I was wrong about that because he beat the hell out of his opponent, but I'm still not dazzled by him. What about you?
Yeah. Well, it's just interesting that you say that actually about him. But when I looked up this card before the fights, I was like, typical what we think about as MMA fans. You look at the names and you think, okay, maybe not the greatest start to the new year, but the fights do play out differently than what you see with the names. But I'm just looking here. The prelims, every fight on the prelims went to a decision. And 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 6 on the main card went to decision, including the main event. So, yeah, I mean, Calvin Kattar, I understand and I agree with the majority of what you said there about, I think as a fighter, he can be exciting. But looking at him in terms of what he brings outside of the octagon, I don't see much. I don't see much personality. I don't see much spark. I don't think he's bringing in a massive following. I don't. The Max Holloway fight. I mean, most people only know him because he got so beat. Like, he got beat up so badly.
Yeah.
And
he calls himself like he's supposed to be the Boston finisher. I think that's his nickname. And all he does is go to decision. And I'm like, hey man, let's cut the shit. Like, you're not who you say you are, and I don't appreciate that for one, because it's a fight and people are looking for finishes. Like, even in boxing, everybody's looking for a finish if they can get one. This isn't it's not wrestling, man. It's not amateur wrestling. We want a knockout if we can get it, or a submission. We don't want it to go the distance just because. And then he's one of those just because guys. See, he's not hungry, man. He's not. Max Holloway knows. And to be fair, my only knock, and it's not. Max Holloway doesn't finish. He stays in there with you too long, and I know why he does that. He stays in there because you can't go as long as he can, but like, he absorbs too much damage, and that's not smart, So he's the only guy that's not. He's hungry, but he's not staying in there with you and outlasting you just because he's some UFC guy and happy to be there. He's doing it as a strategy, but I'm telling you, it's a flawed strategy. He's gonna hate that he did that later in his life, or just a couple years from now. But so with Calvin Kattar, it doesn't. What's he doing it for? He doesn't need to do that. Go out there and win, because Max Holloway. Here's the thing: Max Holloway is on the other side of this, and he's gonna beat your ass again if you get too high in the rank. If you get there again, he's gonna beat your ass again. So, what's the point of you going to decision? You need to at least make people think that you can put them away. And if they think that, they're going to make their own mistakes out of fear, just out of fear, not necessarily fear of you, but at least the fear of a loss or losing badly or fear of something else. It doesn't have to be you, but it could be a fear of something else. It's a healthy fear. You would call someone to be overly cautious if you're a knockout artist and stuff, and that just leads them right back into the knockout. So,
well, it's
yeah.
interesting if you say he has to go in there and finish. If you're Calvin Kattar, you have to finish Chikadze because coming off that loss a year ago, this was the first time he fought since the Holloway fight. So there is so much to prove if you're Calvin Kattar, and yet does the win totally prove that you're back on track against Chikadze ranked at number 9? I don't know. I mean, if you're Calvin Kattar, where do you go from here? That's the question.
Well, they were saying Yair Rodriguez or the winner of they were saying Rodriguez or Ortega or the winner of Volkanovski and who else? Who's he supposed to fight?
So he's now scheduled to fight the Korean Zombie, which is just crazy. Yes. We need to talk about that.
Yeah, I think it's long overdue. I think the Korean Zombie should have been in there. I like him a lot, but I think he should have got a title fight probably a while ago when he was on a nice little run. But this is a good fight for him. I don't think Volkanovski necessarily understands how much of a veteran he is. I think he comes in there with that blitzkrieg shit. He's going to find himself on the wrong end of some jabs. And he likes. I hate Volkanovski. I hate him. Sorry, hate him. Can't stand his attitude. Is he a legitimate champion? Sure. He's won. I don't think he beat Max Holloway either time. I thought he did even less the second time. It took him like 3 rounds for him to start giving a damn like he was a champion, and then they gave him the title. I'll always have beef with that because he fought the same fight and then did less in the second one, and Max did more, and they still gave the damn fight to him. And people are like, oh, well, he definitely won the first one. I'm like, how? They're mirror images. If you show me those fights back to back, you can mix in footage of both fights, and I bet you wouldn't even know which one it was. you would have no clue. You'd be like, oh, well, I don't know if that's the first or second, because he fought an identical fight. But I can tell you where Max stepped his game up in both fights. I can tell you where he was lackadaisical till it got late. He didn't care, and it's almost like he already knew he was gonna win or something. I don't want to go too far into that stuff, but I hope the Zombie whoops his ass, and I hope he has to fight someone like Kattar next, or maybe even Ortega again. I did enjoy the Ortega fight. I mean, yes, props to him for winning that fight, but I'd love to see that Ortega fight again. Maybe or Yair Rodriguez fight would be great too.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
The Ortega fight was a good fight, but was it that competitive? Other than the 2 times he had him potentially submitting or Volkanovski. I mean, other than that, it was 50-45 across the board. So
yeah,
do you do that again? Say Volkanovski beats the Zombie. I think the UFC are too smart not to go back to and reschedule Max Holloway for a 3rd time, because obviously this has been the Zombie's only in because Max has pulled out from injury. So it's, I don't know. I think Volkanovski's in a good spot, but I think there's. I mean, Max won the second fight. I mean, let's not be around the bush. He won the second fight, so there's great reason to run that back for the 3rd time. And I think there's a good few other guys that could pose a lot of challenge for Volkanovski in the future.
Yeah, he's not a conventional champion because we know he lost at least one of those fights.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest thing about him. And it's like, I understand how impressive he was in the lead up to his title fight. That shouldn't mean anything. Oh, he was impressive. Yeah, but like, you're scoring this fight. I didn't see anything in it that told me he was a better fighter than Max Holloway. Like, tell me what he does better than Max Holloway. Intensity? Exactly. I mean, Like, ooh, he's scowling. Ooh, he's more menacing when you look at him. He raises his eyebrows more. Literally, he does nothing better than Max Holloway. And you cannot take the belt from a champion when this guy's fighting the same fight and not doing much. Like he's worse than your champ. It's a decision, and the decision they made was Max Holloway's had this belt for so long. Let's get it off of him and create some bullshit.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like. It wasn't. And here's the gold standard for taking the belt off a champion is Frankie Edgar versus BJ Penn. When you took that from him, that's when you can clearly say, "Yep, you got to give him that title. You got to." Anything short of that, I don't care. You could argue all day. I would say that there's plenty of like that. That didn't come nowhere near to that. That standard at all. I'm not saying I say it's the standard, but obviously not everyone's going to outclass that one that much. At the same time, they do need defining moments and signature things that they're better at in order for you to crown them. But enough about that guy. He's got his head up his own ass so far too, and I'm like, dude, some people like myself don't even think that you won the first fight. So I don't know it's not a Jon Jones thing. There's several fights we can argue he lost, but the other ones he's won definitively, like be for real. He really has, won some fights definitively, and we cannot take that away from him. We might and Volkanovski's trying to be lumped in with the Jon Jones, and I can respect that. Everyone's trying to, but there's a standard that's put there that he hasn't met. But speaking of title pictures, Chikadze and Maia, did you see that fight?
I've seen the highlights of it, and it's very difficult to sit. I mean, listen, these athletes are incredible, and we've got to give them respect and stuff. And I'm all about giving respect, but I don't. When you win a fight and you're in the post-fight press conference and you're saying that I hope the company re-signs me, tells you everything you need to know about Caitlin Chikadze.
So it was a decision, huh?
Yes.
Of course, yeah. I'm disappointed in Maia not taking her out. I am, because I thought Maia had, she went the distance with Shevchenko, so yeah. I thought she would be the one that would get back, like, to the title picture. Like, I would put her in front of a Pena, Juliana Pena. I thought that's what I wanted right there, because I was like, well, she should take that title right off of Pena. Pena's not going to keep that title long. I can tell you that. I can guarantee you that. Ronda, like, there are people who might come back and just beat the hell out of her. I don't know if she even gets past a fired up Holly Holm. Do
you think it's a bit of the fact that, like where you see an athlete and they have not, because we've discussed this before about did she have a great performance or was it more Amanda? But, sometimes you have a night where it's just your night. And maybe that's the one for her career, and then in the next fight you see perhaps the more common version of Juliana Pena, and it doesn't look as good.
Absolutely, and it was only her night because Amanda Nunes refused to stop walking into her punches. I've almost never seen that before in my life. I've seen people do it, be stubborn and just get beat up. Like Cowboy was doing it. I don't know what the hell when Donald Cerrone lost to Conor McGregor. I don't know what he was thinking, but he just didn't care. Just left his face open. It barely stopped anything. He was just standing there, just starstruck, and got beat up. And we know Amanda Nunes has weight cutting troubles, and she probably didn't give a damn. She's probably like, good, whatever. It's not like that's the first time we've seen that. We've seen Thug Rose Namajunas go and say after the post fight, "Oh, I'm glad that monkey's off my back. I'm glad I lost because I don't, I can be hungry again." So that's a thing. Like we just seen Rose Namajunas do that. That really wasn't that long ago.
No,
it really wasn't. But yeah, that was Pena's night. Uh, heavily assisted by Nunes. But you know, I like I said, I just don't see her. Misha Tate had no. I'm sorry. Holly Holm had the belt taken off of her by Misha Tate. I see that situation happening. Not with Misha Tate. She's washed up. But um and yeah, I said it. You washed up. Prove me wrong. That's my opinion. Go do something about it. No, but I see, like I see that happening with Pena. Somebody else from the past saying, "Okay, I got this. I know how to beat her." Now, I know you don't want to be on the ground with Pena, but like at the same time, man, I don't know. She's got a good chin. I can give her that. But at the same time, a couple well placed shots and it would have been over for her. We can see that with her face. Like 3 more shots to the eye, and that's a doctor stoppage, right? We've
Yeah.
seen her face. 3 more shots to that left side or right side, or whatever side it was, and that fight's over anyway. So let's not kid ourselves about the power. But I can see someone like a Holly Holm mixing it up and striking with her, and maybe even knocking her out. Man, I mean, here's the problem. Here's her biggest problem. There's someone who wants that title that we consider, at least at the moment, on par with Nunes, and that's Valentina Shevchenko. So
Mm.
answer this, riddle me this, Batman. What happens when Shevchenko stakes her claim for that title?
Well, history tells us that Amanda Nunes wins, but this Amanda Nunes, what we've just seen from her in December, I mean,
That's assuming she gets it back. I mean, I said stakes her
exactly.
claim for the title. Pena has the title now. So Valentina would be going up against Pena.
I think that Shevchenko, well, she'll have to be the favourite. Right now, if you were to make that fight, she'd be the favourite. And if
Right head
Nunes,
kick. Boom, gone. Same way Holly Holm got her ass whooped. Same way. Especially if she's walking into punches. Because I don't think Juliana Pena punches that hard. Did you see any damage on Amanda Nunes'
no, I
face?
mean that's
Yeah.
why Nunes was doing it. She wasn't feeling the power. It was all
Yeah.
fatigue with Nunes. It wasn't the
Yeah.
power of the punches. But rounding third on what you're saying about Shevchenko and Nunes, I mean, it's tough. Let's say, Valentina gets another defense out before the time the Pena Nunes rematch is scheduled, and Shevchenko does what Shevchenko does, and dismantles every woman that steps in that cage with her. As a fan, you want to see Nunes win the belt back, and knock out Pena, right that wrong, and say that
Yeah.
that was your night, and that was a fluke, and you didn't really deserve to win that. That was my mistake. And you make Shevchenko versus Nunes again. I mean, it's the only fight. It's the only fight for the women's flyweight division, because you look at the rankings, and Chikadze's just come off this win, and it's not setting any worlds alight. No one's really going to be talking about it, and she's number 3 in the world.
Yeah,
And
she's technically sound. I like her as a fighter. I enjoy her as a fighter. But man, she doesn't have like I don't think she has it in her repertoire to end a fight. Like really end it. Like I don't want to say she doesn't have a killer instinct, but maybe that's it. Like she's in the UFC, she's comfortable, but someone that good should be ending fights, ending them. I had the same problem with Carlos Condit when he was fighting. He was so damn skilled, and I was like, man, go out and take what's yours. And he just wouldn't. He really wouldn't do it. And it made me sick. But he had that interim title for like a day or something like that against one of the Diaz brothers. Like, man, that's like ancient history. Think about that, man. Think about how long ago. I mentioned Carlos Condit, injury prone. I think he would have had a much better career.
he was
Had he
still a
been
great
able to,
fighter, but you're right.
yeah,
He was just, I know what really could have been. I mean, he's Hall of Fame fighter, but what really could have been. But just to finish there about the flyweight division. I think it's good because if you look at this card that's just happened, the start of this year for the UFC, if you were to look at it before the fights, the main event and perhaps the Chikadze fight were the two notables, obviously. And I'm just looking at the rankings real quick, and like I said, there's no one other than Talia Santos who's ranked number 6 right now, who I can see as a potential threat for Shevchenko. So if I'm the UFC, I'm wanting Shevchenko versus either Pena or Nunes fight.
I don't know if I want Pena to win that fight. I would want Amanda Nunes to win it because everybody wants to see Shevchenko Nunes 3.
But then, does Shevchenko want to see Nunes 3, or does Shevchenko want Pena to win? So she then goes, "Oh, I can really be double champ right now."
She wants Nunes. I think that's interesting because I would think she would want both. There's a scenario where she wants both. Obviously, she wants she wants that, and getting it would be great. But I think she would want to fight the best fighter, somebody who she don't even think beat her the second time, and a lot of people don't think beat her the second time. Yes, me. They were really respectful to each other, and I would have called it a draw. I would have said, nope, neither one of you did anything. Why don't you go out there and punch each other like you give a damn? But like they fought they were scared to fight each other because one didn't want to get knocked out or submitted by the other, and it was crazy. Like you see that sometimes though. It'll happen. They gave us a dud. It wasn't an exciting moment in that fight where I thought anything was ever gonna happen, because the moment those two fighters stepped in there, I saw the level of respect and fear. They said, I respect this person so much that I'm scared to get knocked out in front of millions. So they didn't. So they went the distance. It should have never went the distance. Come on, man. Amanda Nunes, but she was scared if she gassed, she was gonna end up on the losing end. I can understand that. I don't have to respect it, but I can understand why they fought the way they fought. Which one are you hoping for?
Obviously, like what you said there, I just want the best fight. I think what I will say is I think if Pena beats Nunes for a second time, which I don't think anyone in this world or anyone that's ever watched TV and put on the UFC on their TV will think that for a second time Pena can beat Nunes. But
nope, I expect her to. You know what's crazy? I fully expect her to.
You really expect it to happen again?
Because I don't think that Nunes is in the right space. I don't think she's going to do anything differently. I think she's going to gas again, not care, and not take it seriously. I think she's just doing it again just to be doing it. And also, it's kind of like, okay, so it's like when Joanna Jędrzejczyk lost her belt to Thug Rose Namajunas. It's going to be the same thing. Now, we can argue that she might win it on paper, but I don't think she's going to win. Oh, if that shit goes to decision, nope, she's not winning it. And I feel like it's going to decision, and I feel like she's going to lose that decision. She only has one chance to win that title back, and that is knock her out. And I need quick and easily in the first round. Maybe second round. But still. That's how I see it, man. Because Thug Rose won the title just like that and kept it retained. Doesn't matter about the fight they had after that. They kind of had an agenda. We saw that. If Joanna won that second fight, like most people say, and they give the slight edge to it, but like the slight edge is a win. So if it pans out like I think it's going to turn out the same way.
I think I'll just give a quick what I think, and then I think it'd be good to move on to just a little show that's happening next Saturday or this Saturday coming, with a bit more.
You can tell me I'm crazy. You just want to like.
No, I understand where you're coming from. I see what you just said about Nunes. I seen that in the fight. I seen that total loss in headspace, and it's almost that, the way she fought was, of course, like, okay, you can hit me like you want to, do whatever you want, but you can't beat me, so I'll just do what I want and put my my hands down, hit me as many times as you want. I'm eventually going to get to you, and I'm just going to beat you like I beat everyone. And I can see with the new lifestyle she has, with the family, with our new daughter, that perhaps, unless you want to prove that was a fluke, and because she's won everything, she's the she didn't have to win that fight to still be the greatest of all time women's fighter.
Right.
So it's now, do you want to come back and show everyone that you're great? I mean, we already know you're great, so there's no real pressure for you to come back and show that. You can retire now if you're the greatest. So I do think there's something in there where there's an element of doubt in terms of her mentality for the rematch. So I would say I would still pick Nunes because of what she's done in the sport, but I wouldn't be surprised if Pena won again.
The only way I would pick Nunes is if she said she was going to vacate the title as soon as she won it, right after she won it. Because if she wins that title, it's going to be like, well, what's next? Do you defend it or what? Like, what's her hunger level at? If it's just hungry enough to win it back, sure. Yep. Think she'll knock her out, go about her business, and ride off into the sunset. Like, I think she fights Shevchenko, gets it over with, done. She can lose the Shevchenko fight and maybe not be the GOAT, but we'll see. We'll see. I still don't know. Like, Shevchenko has further to go too, and Shevchenko beating her once is kind of like, okay, you won one time, she still got another one over you. So, and you wouldn't be her first loss in recent memory. So, I don't know. Lots of questions there. But like you said, let's move on. Let's move on to what's coming up next.
I'm just gonna say two names and just give me your feelings as of when we sit here today on how many days out? 5, 6 days out, something like that. Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo. What's your thoughts?
Figueiredo's. I think he hyped himself up so much that he can't get past his own shadow. He can't get out of his own shadow. So, I wouldn't place anything on him. He just rubbed me the wrong way. Who he thought he was? Charles Oliveira. He thought he was Charles Oliveira, and he's not. He's not as cool as him, and he's not as skilled as him. That's as skilled, as cool. I'm not saying he's not cool. I'm not saying he's not skilled, but like, he's no Charles Oliveira. So, I mean, he's Charles Oliveira light, and light beers suck. He just like Coors. Well, wait, let me stop. I drink Coors Light all the time. It's probably it's super economical, but it might not be better than regular Coors. I'll say that.
Yeah. I mean, anything with light on the end, like, let's be honest, it's not going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, he's Oliveira light, so I'm good on him.
Well, I think similar with him. I think he won the belt, and he mauled. God, I forget his name now. Benavidez. I mean, that was just sad. But
I was disappointed in Benavidez. He's supposed to be a better fighter than that. I was really disappointed in him.
I was quite I was disappointed, but it was just quite a sad sight. But I think Figueiredo took too much talk into consideration once he beat Benavidez. I think he listened too much to what everyone was saying about how he's saved the flyweight division. He's made it exciting. He's made it cool. He's made it that there's someone, a flyweight champion, that's got knockout power and hits like a heavyweight. And I mean, all the things that you were hearing about Davison Figueiredo when he won the belt. And
he should have listened to me.
Yeah.
I was shitting on him. I was like, look, bro, like somebody's gonna kick your ass real soon, and it
You need to
happened.
listen to some of the haters to keep him grounded, I think, maybe.
You have to, man. If everybody's kissing your ass, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. That is a scary day. You can't
Mm.
have a bunch of people on your side like that because that means no one's checking you at all. Not just not checking you, they're not checking people around you or anything that you're doing. So if you've made a mistake, it's gonna come unraveling from the beginning, and it's gonna unravel everything. Take a Jon Jones, for instance, to bring him up on not to dump on him, just to say, hey, if
Yeah.
he had some things going on at first, that stuff nobody checked. They were too busy telling him, yeah, man, you're going to be the next champion and the greatest of all time. Somebody took the time and said, hey, man, slow down. There's some things you're doing that are probably going to hurt you in the long run. That you want to stop right now. So and he started wearing sunglasses. Figueredo started wearing sunglasses and shit. It's like and all these fancy suits. I'm like, dude, you're not Conor McGregor, and you're not Charles Oliveira, who started doing that a little bit later. Or no, he was doing it then. But my point was like, man, like who are you? Like you have so many holes in your game. You know what I mean? Like he was more. I wouldn't say he was just concentrated on a sole aspect of his game, and
Yeah,
that's
the
just
knockout.
he's just yeah, and I'm like, man, and the speed, and I'm like, dude, if somebody can be faster than you, or they can counter you, and he didn't know what to do when he was being countered. So, uh, uh it's gonna be a damn good fight, though. I tell you that it's
I
gonna be a
mean,
damn good fight.
for me, the main thing that still stands out is the weight cutting issue. It's just, at what point does anyone around him really address it? I mean, it's it's crazy. He's a hard hitter, and yes, he is a presence when he steps in there against guys because of how hard it is for him to cut the weight. He's not a natural flyweight. But what do you do? He's already had the two fights now with Moreno. The first fight was, contender for fight of the year. I think it ended up being fight of the year, but it's just Moreno's so well rounded now, and like you said before, Figueredo, he for the longest time now, it seems he has been focused on just that one dimension. So how do you correct that in a short space of time? It hasn't been that long since he got
You
beat
don't.
beat convincingly by Moreno. So I mean, it's an intriguing fight. I, I don't know who, obviously Moreno will be the favorite, and I think most likely, unless he gets caught with, one of those quick, very fast and very powerful shots early. I mean, it's looking likely that Moreno will win again. But is that the sort of thought process you're having so far?
Yeah, and it'll be a great fight, but I don't like the quick turnarounds on rematches. People, are, oh, give him the rematch. Like, yeah, okay, why don't we give him 5 minutes then? If you're gonna just not give a
Agreed.
shit, give him 5 minutes because they're gonna learn that same amount of stuff in 5 minutes than they will in 5 months. Like, it's not enough time. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm like, nope, you're not getting that rematch till at least 9 months to a year. Why? Because don't you want to be a better fighter? Like, I think it's too soon for Max Holloway, to be honest. I know
Mm,
how good he is right now, but I think it's a little bit too. I've seen something really nice. I'll say this: I think Volkanovski's gotten better too. In that Ortega fight, I think he showed some real grit in that he stepped it up, and those fights kind of mirror each other. Um, and I see if it goes to decision that Holloway uh loses again, the same way Amanda Nunes may lose. You see the pattern here. If there's a new champ, they're not trying to give you that rematch decision like that. You got to come in and you got to just straight up win it. You know, and the UFC is real careful about who they do that with, and they know the situation better than we do. I can see them a mile away. Like Figueredo doesn't have a chance really. He doesn't. Unless he catches him, why are we really even watching this fight? Why
mm.
is it even a thing? while we watching it. It's. I understand you got to put on the best product you can, but I think you got to do that through building better matchups throughout your throughout your divisions. I don't. Figueiredo's not that guy, man. He's not. So what? Let's forget him. I know we talking about his fight. Who cares? Who's after him?
Yeah, I mean, let's in
Yeah, bring it up. Let's see who's after him because he's gonna get smoked. And once he's gonna lose a decision, just like I'm saying, Nunes and Holloway are probably gonna lose a decision. Both of them. Think about that. Both of them are about to lose another decision. The Max has one chance, and that's to go and knock Volkanovski out, knock his ass out. We don't have to worry about it. I don't think he'll do that. It'll take him too long to do it. If you're gonna knock Volkanovski out, it needs to be in the first round. You need to catch him. But I don't think I think Max is gonna worry too much about conditioning to do that. He's always worried about conditioning,
Yeah.
And
Sorry, you were saying.
no, go ahead. Who's after Figueiredo? Because he's gone.
So Askarov is ranked currently number 3, and Pantoja is 4. The thing is you look at these names. Brandon Royval fought on Saturday and he won, but
yeah, I think that was the fight I was talking about. Watch, I think that was one I wrote about. I was interested in what he did.
But if you look at this though, he's had 4 fights in the UFC, and he's 2-2, and he's ranked number 5. What does that tell you about the flyweight division?
That is shitty. Yes, tells me that's pretty bad. So that's what I'm saying. Like, what's after him? I know they got to make the best available fight, man, but like it's too quick of a turnaround. It doesn't give Figueiredo a fair chance. It just doesn't. He's going in there thinking, "Oh, I can do this. I know I can." This ain't about willpower, Get out of here. He can't sell me on himself enough. I've already seen what they could do. So I'm not interested. I'm just not. I wanted to warm up to rematches like this. I want to warm up to Holloway, and I'm warmed up more because it's been way longer since they fought. But man, just give me some more meat in this story. More meat. I gotta have stuff to write about.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, this division, had its critics, and it's not lit up any debates and conversations and barbershop talk or anything like that. But if you look, Brandon Moreno, I mean, he's one of the standout fighters of 2021. So you've got a champion that very skilled, and a lot of people like. He's very fan friendly. But below him, you've got Davison Figueiredo, Askarov, and then there's a bit of a gap until you see Cody Garbrandt and Kai Kara-France, who fought each other, and Kai Kara-France wins, but then takes a fight not for the title, which he said he was campaigning for after beating Cody. So, after Figueiredo, who is it? Who's that standout guy that's going to really intrigue us fans to want to keep watching this division? I mean, it might end, unless Cejudo or something comes back and there's a crazy fight that gets announced or something.
Do we have any more business to take care of? Because I'm about to take this show in a completely different direction.
Well, we need to preview next week. This coming Saturday's.
Let's preview that, because I'm gonna get back to that question, because I know the answer to it, and it's a long-winded answer, but like you'll know exactly where I'm going with it. You'll be like, oh yeah, but who's fighting next week?
Well, we've discussed the co-main event, but there's really only one fight. Certainly I am just. I mean, it's for me, it's the fight. It might be the fight of the year in terms of like anticipation. I mean, we're 2 weeks in, and this might be up there already. The heavyweight champ Francis Ngannou versus the interim champ Cyril Gane. I mean, such a crazy experience it is now watching Francis. I mean, we've always known his knockout power and the way you can just. I mean, it's scary what you can do, but it's recently that he stepped up. I think in terms of that real fear that you can show, and when you watch the Stipe fight back and just the way he connected and the way he looked, I mean, it's a scary thought to see him this Saturday. What's your thoughts as of right now as we look to see this fight unfold?
I'm usually torn. And where I'm torn at is I want Ngannou to win because I think he's very deserving of it. I don't think there should even be an interim title, to be honest.
Agreed.
So I want him to win, but also I don't like when fighters get a little bit too ahead of themselves and go, "Oh, I did this." I'll say in my own life, I thought I deserved more of a house than what I'm buying right now.
Yeah.
That was stupid, and I almost lost out on getting a house, period. So I did it once, like 5 years ago, and I literally, the Facebook does the memories thing. I ran into a text where, I was complaining about it. I thought I was somebody I wasn't. I thought I was more deserving of something. And Ngannou's there. And it's like, look, man, you fought for bullshit to get here. Now you saying you need this and that. Now you being a diva about it. Shut up and fight. That's what you do. People don't like to hear that. And I'm like, look, man, Michael Jordan, I know he was making millions on the side, but like he still shut up, played his game. Now there was a time when he didn't shut up, and that was when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's when he talked all he talked all the shit he wanted to. People didn't even know he was mad at him. He said, yeah, hey, I hate you for this, blah, blah, blah. He let everybody have it. Cool. Ngannou needs to just keep his cool and stop trying to be a diva about it. I hope Cyril Gane, excuse me, I hope Gane wins, because if he does, Jon Jones is going to have to either fight him or Ngannou. But I think they're going to skip Cyril Gane if he loses this fight. But either way, Jon Jones can't beat them both. I can tell you that. We know he can't, because he's, oh, man, I need $8 million. Derek Lewis doesn't even want to fight Derek Lewis. All you have to do is lean on him. Here's the problem. When you're a heavyweight, it's fighting. You're going to get touched. You're going to get hit. Jon Jones loves to flee. I understand not getting hit, but when he fought, who's the guy he should have lost to? I'm sorry, one of them, Dominic Reyes. When Jon Jones fought Dominic Reyes, he turned his back to run. I would 10-8 your ass in a heartbeat if you ever do that. You turn your shoulder, bro, you ran from him. You weren't avoiding strikes while standing in front of him. You took off. And there's ways in which you can take off, and it's okay. It's when you're like on the ground or something like that, and you get up, hurry up and get away and reset and come to the middle. Nope, he just ran. He just straight up turned. He wasn't resetting. He was running from getting his ass whooped. So I'm saying, what I'm saying is, like, I would 10-8 him for that. And I know why he does that, because he doesn't want to stand in front of you. He's gonna do that if he were to fight a Derek Lewis or Ngannou. He doesn't want to touch them. He doesn't want to touch gloves with them. He don't even want to take leg kicks, since we saw Ngannou doing that. You think he could take some Ngannou leg kicks? Hell no. So I just see him. I see this as an opportunity to see who's going to fight Jon Jones. That's all it's all about. It has nothing to do with who the champ is. It has everything to do with who Jon Jones is more comfortable fighting. I guarantee you that. I'm on record saying this, because what else is there after this? Name the next guy in line.
Mm. I mean, say Francis Ngannou beats Cyril Gane on Saturday.
I mean, Stipe can fight Gane.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Wins or loses. Yeah, when he wins or loses, Stipe's probably next for Gane, win or lose. So we got that out of the way. But who fights Jon Jones? Because he's coming. He wants to fight in 2022.
Well, pending everything that's going on in his personal life, can he actually get there?
I think he can. I mean, they moved the whole fight for him before, and other people lost because of that, which is crazy.
I know.
But I think Gane might win. I mean, because he's got the power to match Ngannou, and I don't think Ngannou. See, here's the problem with Stipe and Ngannou. Stipe didn't know he was that good, and we nobody knew Francis Ngannou had stepped up his game that much.
Yeah.
Granted, however, Cyril Gane is as big as Francis Ngannou. He has power, not quite as much as him, but he has power too. We saw what he did to Derek Lewis, that's not a small feat. This is Derek Lewis we're talking about. Who can just knock you out of nowhere. Derek Lewis is also a man who stood in there and actually beat Francis Ngannou. He traded blows with him, man. I'm not saying he caught a knockout blow and he just took it and shook it off. I'm saying he still traded blows with him. And we saw Stipe couldn't even take some of that, So it's all up in the air. I can't call it. I think Cyril Gane beats Ngannou because I think Ngannou is not tested on that level as far as being well-rounded, Yeah, because if he gets into if he gets into a technical battle, that's it. He better not fucking do that. Wasn't supposed to have the F-bomb, but that's okay. That's okay. He better not do that, though. He better not do that. I'm not cutting that out. This is going on Sporticus, but that's okay. He better not do it. How do you see? Let me ask you this: how do you see either man winning or losing?
Well, the obvious would be it's either a Francis Ngannou knockout or a Cyril Gane technical 5-round decision. But the thing is with Francis is that the step that he made from I think it was Rosenstrike, was his final fight before he fought Stipe for the belt. What he did against Rosenstrike was not enough time because it took him less than 30 seconds. We still, if you look at the sample size we have of Francis since being beat by Stipe the first time, we don't have much to show how much of a step up in his overall game has been, practiced and worked on. Because let's say if the step up between the Rosenstrike and Stipe's second fight, which we all agree was
tremendous,
incredible, yes. Yeah. Can he then elevate that level even more from the Stipe fight to now? I mean, if he can he win a decision if they need it? Maybe. But would you favor Cyril Gane if it went 25 minutes? Probably.
It's not going 25 minutes.
Ngannou does not have that rare chance that anyone would ever think that it could.
Well, he's getting submitted. He's going to get too tired. He's going to Amanda Nunes himself. See, those with great power comes with great power. There needs to come great endurance, and he doesn't have that tank, He's got I saw what he was doing to Stipe, and he looked great. He doesn't have a tank like Gane. That's the problem, and he's not rounded like him. So when he gets too technical, let's say it goes 3 rounds, done. He's done. It took Daniel Cormier. It took 4 rounds for him to be done. He fought his absolute best fight with his gas tank against Stipe. And Stipe lasted, you know, and he outlasted him and he beat him. But Daniel Cormier was kicking his ass all up until that point, and then there was nothing else he could do. You know, he had used all of his gas tank. That's, you know, but that he's fought a very beautifully sound technical fight. It was the best heavyweight performance I'd ever seen against anybody. But he couldn't sustain it. So for Ngannou to be able to put on, if Gane keeps him away, which he will, what's Ngannou gonna do? Is he gonna start? If one haymaker could end it all, and I don't mean for Francis Ngannou, I don't mean for Gane. I mean, he throws a haymaker and he misses. He's got a decision to make. Do I follow up with 2 or 3 more, hoping that I hit him? Or do I stop right here and realize that what I'm about to do is spend all my, empty out my gas tank chasing him. And he's going to then mount me or get my back in, I almost said sleeper hold, rear naked choke. This ends in a rear naked choke if Ngannou doesn't know what he's doing. And there's still a good chance he doesn't. Because he wasn't actually a fighter until he started with Rosenstrike. You know, he wasn't. He was just a puncher's chance guy, but that punch was a hell of a punch. Now he's a fighter. What happens when you get in there with another veteran fighter that might take him down and submit him immediately? I don't know that he won't. Who's to say that Gane won't just wrestle him? Because Ngannou still can't wrestle. He's not Cormier. You see what I'm saying? Like, he has those holes that existed are still there, no matter how strong he is. He's going up against technique. His strength means nothing against that technique. He would have to catch him. He needs the technique in order to slip under what Gane's doing and knock him out. If Gane trades with him, he's a moron, and good riddance to the belt and good riddance to him. Okay? Because that's just stupid. But that's how I see the fight ending, man. I say rear naked choke. I say Gane keeps him at bay. He's going to fight him like every other fighter. Keep him at. You saw how he fought Derek Lewis. He doesn't need to fight Gane. He doesn't have to fight Ngannou any differently than he fought Derek Lewis. Easy money. Rear naked choke, easy money, let's go home. And guess who don't want none of that? Jon Jones. He go like, oh, I need $50 million now on some bullshit because he's lying. He's just scared to fight people his own size. You know who's else scared to do that? Conor McGregor. What happens when he fight people at 170? Gets his ass whooped. Yeah, this is what happens. Jon Jones is doing the same thing. But do you see any holes in what I said?
No, I can understand what you're saying. I'm just thinking, and we're obviously still talking about Francis, this fatigue issue and the holes in the games and all that stuff, but has Cyril showed enough that he can outlast Francis?
Yes.
Yeah,
not if he gets hit.
Well, if he could, then I mean he's Superman. But
see, Jon Jones. The reason I keep bringing him up is because he's the integral part of this.
The reason you bring him up is because if Francis Ngannou beat Cyril Gane on Saturday, and they can somehow
that's the big fight.
Is it a big fight, or is it the biggest fight of UFC in the UFC's history?
No, I don't know. In terms of money, it's hard to say.
It's hard to say in terms of numbers, but I'm just talking as a prospect, when you see those two names.
Francis isn't good enough technically. He just isn't. I mean, I hate to say that, but he's just not that type. He's not GSP, you know, and neither is Jon Jones, to be fair to GSP. So, but yes, absolutely top 3. I would have to really go back and look and see who's top dog and stuff. I think Brock Lesnar and Jon Jones would be much bigger. Not that Brock's doing that, but you see what I'm saying? Like, I think that's a bigger name. Like, Francis Ngannou is an MMA name. Jon Jones is a MMA. It's an MMA name too, but he's also a household name. Ngannou's not a household name yet.
I think,
Maybe if he knocks Cyril Gane, if he kills him, sure,
yeah.
sure,
I
like
think
sure. Dude.
I think what you said there about Brock, I think that's actually really interesting because if like you said, if Francis Ngannou beats Cyril Gane and he beats him via murder, but if he beats him well, like we sort of expect he can with that power, I think he is transcending to the position of where Brock was at his peak in the UFC, where we, as fans and media and all the, Francis, I think, starting to get, he's not quite there yet in terms of the whole world knowing who he is. I think he's getting close, and
Oh yeah.
I think it's being seen by the interest from, ESPN. Don't go out their way to promote UFC fighters, even though they've got the TV deal with them. Like, once a Conor McGregor show's on, or Masvidal shows on, or Nate Diaz shows on, then there's the faces that you don't normally see at events. I think Francis Ngannou will be added to that list very shortly, should he win on Saturday.
He has to win. He has to. I mean,
Yeah,
he absolutely has to. If he loses, nope. MMA is pretty unforgiving. Like,
yeah,
even if Jon Jones, with his career, if he loses just once, whenever he loses, that's it. And I think he looks at that as well. His style is fitted to beat a Francis Ngannou, someone who's going to gas because, like I said, he's just going to keep him at bay the whole time. Leg kicks, leg kicks, leg kicks. Don't engage. Eat up his legs. Make Ngannou come after you and start swinging for the fences and stuff. He'll beat any guy up trying to do that. Whenever you pursue him, he beats you up. He's kind of got like a heavyweight dominant Cruz sort of style, but like, the way he just works your legs and keeps you at bay, and you're dead if you chase him. You're done. He's gonna beat you up if you chase him. And then he might, do that spinning elbow and knock you out. So he's got a style that it's really hard to get past his defenses. And this fight here is to set up Jon Jones to fight Ngannou for the title so that he could just do that and we could call him the best ever. That's what they're trying to do. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's exactly what they're trying to do. That's why, that I don't know why. I really don't know why. Oh God. I really don't know why they're doing like the roundabout way, and as far as taking the title off of him, just keep the title on him. You don't need to do an interim title, man. You don't. I wouldn't let Cyril Gane fight him right now. What the hell are they doing? Why would you make Cyril Gane fight him? I get Steve. You know what? Here's what I do. For business, I invoke the rematch. I say, yep, Stipe is gonna fight him again. Because they're 1-1. So, Stipe defended it against him before once. And now he would be, the challenger in this instance. So I don't think it's unfair to give Stipe the next crack at Ngannou. I know people want to see Jon Jones. Let him whoop Stipe's ass again. Stretch it out and see if you can get, Jon Jones in there. Here's the thing. Jon Jones is bigger than Stipe, so you still getting a favorable matchup for Jon Jones, and that's what they wanted. They wanted Stipe they kind of wanted him to keep it, But Stipe's got power, man. I mean, don't put nothing past him. Ngannou, he did lay a hand on Ngannou in that fight, and he made Ngannou sure up his boxing real quick. Ngannou had to hit him right back because they started to exchange, and that's where you could, things get a little dicey. Who you got in this fight? Who you putting your money on?
Yeah, I was just going to say we should, just to round up on this, great main event, with a bit of a prediction, but I think we should not just go who's going to win, but how and maybe when. Just to see, we could then do that and see who maybe comes closer,
Okay, so Ngannou by knockout. Gone by decision. Maybe not split decision. I say gone by submission.
You going down by submission?
Yep. Rear naked choke.
Round?
That's what happens to everybody when they gas and it's over with. It's over with. He gonna rear naked choke. That's what I'm going with.
Early or later on?
Depends on how tired he gets. I think Ngannou might gas out in the second. That's the earliest, though. I don't think he'll be gone in the first. He might be. I've seen it. We've seen it before. I've seen even the smartest of fighters. Look, we saw Amanda Nunes just do it. She just did this. She just did it, and she's the same kind of fighter in terms of power punching. She's a lot better striker and fighter than Ngannou will ever in his life be. You could duplicate him and then merge them back together. You could do a Dragon Ball Z fusion, and he still wouldn't be better than her. But second round, or mid-second,
right.
rear naked choke.
I'm gonna go. You've gone Cyril. I'm going Francis. Obviously by knockout. Although I do think I think sooner rather than later. It may not be that in this fight, but I think he's going to start showing that there is a lot more underneath that.
He can rear naked choke him. He could hit him and get him on the ground. He could. It's possible. I doubt it. I think Gane would knock him out before that happened. Like, that's one thing. So here's the crazy part. Gane has more ways to beat him. He has more ways to win by decision, submission, and by knockout. Francis Ngannou only has one way to win, and that's by knockout. That doesn't bode well for him, as far in terms of just everything. Like, I'm going with my heart here. I think he's gonna overthrow it, and the more skilled guys, he might knock him out, man. I think Cyril Gane might knock him out too. That's a high possibility. It's not like he can't. He's about to knock out Derek Lewis. Well, no, he did knock him out, right? Didn't he TKO him?
TKO.
Yeah. I thought for some reason he got his back and submitted him, but yeah, he can knock his ass out too. He might. He just might. If Ngannou comes in there and swings wild like he used to, bam, uppercut, gone. See you later. On to Jon Jones. But here's a great part about that. Francis Ngannou can have a rematch later anyway against Gane, and he can also fight Jon Jones. And it doesn't matter if he wins any of that stuff, because those are still big money fights. Because you're right, he's on the cusp of being a household name.
Get your thoughts quickly on this. Just look this up. The heavyweight champ Francis Ngannou is plus 125 to win on Saturday. Cyril Gane, the favorite, at minus 150.
Makes sense.
And
makes sense.
They are the same odds, both to win by knockout. Cyril Gane and Francis Ngannou by knockout is the same odds. That is crazy.
If they're getting there swinging, all you got to do is miss. Francis Ngannou is more prone to missing. Way more prone to missing. I don't think Gane's going to miss him when he hits him. I don't think so. But it's going to be scary, man. Like, it's scary to watch because he could literally kill Gane. He could. He knocked Alistair's...
Alistair over him.
I almost said Alistair Black. Alistair... I know a lot of Alistair, man.
Yeah.
I was like, Alistair, wait a minute.
You know my friend Alistair. I think he died. He would have died. This betting company, I don't think they're taking into consideration that Francis Ngannou might hit harder than anyone ever has. So, I can see how Cyril wins, but for me, right now, I can't see anything other than Francis Ngannou knocking out.
What do you want to win?
I personally, aside from just the fact that the winner would fight Jon Jones potentially, I want Ngannou to win. I think Cyril is like a modern heavyweight. he's one of the new up and coming of what transcended the sport in terms of you look at heavyweights 15 years ago, they weren't, you can say they were athletes, but
yeah.
let's
Definitely.
let's be honest. Cyril Gane is, he's Anthony Joshua in MMA. You know what I mean? If you look at the body type, probably more technically skilled than Anthony Joshua, but
Yes, definitely. So yeah, let's. I was like, let's put that in there. Yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of just like obviously Francis is an incredible physical athlete as well. But I'm just saying in terms of the matching the physical attributes with the technical and IQ fighting skill that Cyril has. But for me, Francis Ngannou could be what Mike Tyson was for boxing, for the UFC. I mean, if he could pick up a run of fight, and I know that's a bit of a, crazy thing to say because Mike Tyson did it for so many years and transcended boxing in a way with pop culture and the different people he brought in, sort of the coolness that he brought to boxing, and the outlandish things that you've seen him doing. I mean, I don't think Francis is going to quite follow in his footsteps, but just in terms of what people thought when he made that walk to the octagon and not the walk to the ring. And for me, that's more exciting than a man that can win a 25-minute technical bout. I would rather see someone that can.
No, you're right.
Yeah. So for me,
you're
it's
absolutely
Francis.
right about that. Hey, here's my thing. I think that people really aren't looking at real opportunities in there before them. If Ngannou loses and you don't get the Jon Jones fight, leave the UFC. Who cares? Go directly to ESPN and go to PFL and just kill everybody in there. Literally kill them. And like you get to write your own ticket. You're going to be the most successful person in MMA history. You're going to be making more money than you ever did. You're going to be on TV all the time. You could be an analyst when you're done. Everything. That's what you want to do. Oh, but it's not UFC. UFC ain't even paying you like that. They not. So what? Millions of people get to see it. Millions of people watch ESPN2. Get on ESPN. But what he better not do is step his ass into that boxing ring, because somebody like Tyson Fury will knock him out cold in seconds. If Deontay Wilder got destroyed in 2 fights, what the hell is Francis Ngannou gonna do?
So
I don't care how hard he punches. You have to get there, and you got on gloves, man. That's not gonna translate. As a matter of fact, Ngannou punches hard, but he's not the striker that Conor McGregor is. And Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd Mayweather all but said he punched like a bitch. He all but said that. Like, oh, he punched like a bitch. He doesn't punch hard. So it don't translate over the same way. It don't. He better not do it. What's your thoughts on that?
I think what you're saying about Francis there, I was not going to say until perhaps after the aftermath of next Saturday. But maybe to counter your point, Francis Ngannou's made it very clear to the UFC, to all the media, all fans, that he is not going to be fighting anymore for what his current contract is. And I think he's made it very public that he is willing to consider other opportunities. And I'm thinking, well, all the things we've talked about Francis here, it's very telling that I read Jake Paul post on social media, something big's coming, and the very tweet before it was regarding this financial situation of a Francis Ngannou. Now I'm thinking, you talked there about the boxing, about Francis fighting Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder.
I'm starting to see some serious and not just talk about Francis Ngannou leaving the UFC and potentially going to boxing.
Jake Paul is doing everything people wanted. I mean, they're and he's doing it right under their noses, and he's purposely being an asshole about it. One, because he respects the trade of boxing. People might say, "Oh, no, he doesn't." But yeah, no, he does. He's an actual trained boxer.
Yep.
He respects the trade, but he respects everything about the trade. And one of that is shit talking. And what he's doing is getting in everybody's heads because he's selling the fights, not just his fights. He wants Ngannou to leave. Like you're saying, he gets Ngannou and Wilder. That's huge. That is huge.
Under
and
his
the
promotion.
First thing,
yeah.
Everybody's gonna say, and he's got the money and the legitimacy and the hookup to do it.
Yeah.
He gets that fight, he makes that fight, everybody's coming to him. You have to compete with him now. It's not a WWE, AEW situation. It's now you got to compete with him. Because if he wants to go to ESPN and get his own deal, if he wants to put the fight on ESPN, they are going to throw truckloads, plane loads, jumbo planes of money at him to do that. Because what he's doing, what he would be doing, and I'm gonna tie this into what I was going to say. What are we looking like on time?
We've got about 30, 40 minutes left.
Okay, good. Because I'm gonna tie this directly into what I wanted to get into. Jake Paul is farming. He's creating a farm system using himself. He's started to see who he wants. You think he doesn't like Tyron Woodley? BS. Loves Tyron Woodley.
He likes him.
Because he was a guy that was willing to step outside of his comfort zone and do what he needed to do. And not only that, Tyron Woodley's a guy that helped train CM Punk. That doesn't help CM Punk at all or anybody's credibility. But what I'm saying is he's not afraid to take on a challenge, no matter how out of the box that challenge is. And that's somebody you definitely want on your team from that point of view. So I think they've done some major talking behind the scenes, major talking in terms of how do you get these people and that person and this person. So when you say you're starting to see some major stuff happening, some major talks about Ngannou fighting, actually boxing, I think that's where it's coming from. You got two black athletes. You think they don't talk? Of course they do. Woodley's probably a direct line in Ngannou. Who knows? Point being is he's got an in. Ben Askren, Jake Paul has talked to a lot of people. He's got a lot of resources. He's been farming. He can go and do anything he wants to in terms of making matches, making fights. Let's see if he could do it. You think if he don't step in an MMA ring and get a win, that it's not going to turn all the heads on earth? If he wins one MMA fight, you got to respect him. And not just getting in, because people are going to shit on him if he loses. He get in there, he fights somebody. Then what are we going to do? Now, all eyes on Jake Paul, and he's walking it and talking it.
Yeah. No, I really agree with what you're saying. I think Jake Paul, I don't think it's as controversial as what it was before the Woodley fight in terms of people's opinion on him. I think the Woodley knockout, whatever you believe about it, but I think him knocking out Woodley in that way, I think people now saying, "Oh, I quite like Jake Paul," or I at least I respect what he's doing. I think that's now not becoming a crazy thing to say. What I do think is crazy, and perhaps maybe the craziest thought that could possibly become reality in 2022, is that Francis Ngannou versus Jon Jones, one of the greatest martial arts fights ever, UFC fights ever, could potentially take place in a boxing ring under Jake Paul Promotions. I mean, You know,
That's the only way they. I didn't know where you was going with that, but like,
but you know
you're
what
right
I mean?
because
Like,
guess what? That's how they get the money. That's the only way they get their money.
like
That's the only way they're gonna get it.
Francis Ngannou, what's he done for the last 6 months? Complained about his contract. What's Jon Jones done for the last year and a half until he was silenced pretty much from mainly 90% of his own wrongdoings in his personal life, which has taken traction away from the original point, was Jon Jones wanted more money from the UFC. And now
I
are all
think
of a sudden the UFC going to pay them 25, 30 million for one fight? I don't think so.
no.
Is Jake Paul Promotions and MVP Promotions, are they going to, and Showtime, are they going to pay 10, 15 million for each fighter in a boxing ring? I think so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know why? Because that's gonna be nothing to compared to all the money they're gonna get for that, man. All the money, because then they're gonna say, "Oh, you bought two big names from UFC. Okay, then go get us some more. Who else you got? You know, we know you willing to do it. So who else you got?" Then everybody jumps ship. Then he just says, "Oh yeah, I'm running an MMA promotion," and everybody just, "Hey, you can just okay, you give the UFC their fights, whatever. The UFC could die in an instant. It could." And I know people are like, "Oh, that's far fetched." No, it's not. They don't get paid shit. Who cares? That you got a lot of people, and I'll say this, and make a better connection to the point I was going to make. I was talking about a farm system. That's why the flyweight division sucks. They don't have a farm system. WWE has a farm system though. We know NFL and all the others. The college football is the NFL's farm system, which is unfortunate because they don't get paid. You know, the college kids don't get paid off of it. You know, MLB has one. The NBA has the D League. Even WWE has a farm system. But you know what? WWE pay the most. You getting 6 figures just to chill and catering. Sure, you might get released from your contract, but like, I would love to sit around, make $600,000, or no, I'm sorry, that's way too much. Let's say $100,000, be on TV a couple times, and then get let go. What? $100,000? How much you think my mortgage is? It ain't that much. I don't live beyond my means. I'm paying for my house with that $100,000. I'm retiring. I don't care. Like, point being is nobody's making that type of money in the UFC, like where it's just crazy the way they have to stay. Everybody would say, let's fight what we got to do on our contract and leave. And once he can't get more fighters, once everybody's trying to go over there, either he's going to have to raise his pay or that's it. AEW was trying to squeeze WWE like that, but they're stupid and don't know how to run any sports businesses. Look at the Jaguars hiring Urban Meyer, and he's just doing everything under the sun. And then look at the football team over where you at. They don't know what the hell they doing. You know, that's not how you run a competition. You want to go at your competition, you got to do it the way Jake Paul's doing it. Get your ass in that ring and do it. Vince McMahon did it. He got in the literal ring and did it. And that's how he ended up beating Ted Turner. WCW folded, man. Billionaire. Ted Turner said, I'm not doing this shit anymore. Vince McMahon beat me. I tried to play his game. He stepped in there. I didn't. We've seen it happen before. The UFC is not like they're not impervious to competition. Bellator couldn't do it. Who cares about Bellator? If Ngannou goes to Bellator, do you give a shit?
I think
that's
I know
a
what
no.
you mean.
That's a no. That's a no.
When I pause like that, then just everyone just think that's no. He's still a draw, and I would still watch the one-off fights. But is he going to make me go and watch Bellator events like religiously? No.
I'll tell you who's a better fighter than well, obviously, but who was like at one time one of the GOATs, Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson. How many Demetrius Johnson's fights have you watched since he went to one?
Oh, I mean, what's he had, like 4, 5, 6 fights there? Maybe more.
Not sure. I watched. I want to say I saw that. Well, he beat the hell out of somebody, but when he
Yeah.
first got up there, he beat the hell out of people. I saw him lose. That's about it. I watched that. That was the one I got to see. Guess where I watched that at? ESPN. I think it was ESPN. Whatever. It was close to ESPN. Literally, just because it was close to them on the channels that I watched, that was good enough. I'm gonna even either if it wasn't ESPN, I attribute it to them. I'm gonna look down that row of channels. I'm not gonna see anything from UFC because they don't do enough. They don't do anything, and the fighters aren't hungry enough. You let Jake Paul do what he wants to do. If you let him go unchecked, UFC's out of here. It takes if what you're saying is true and he can get that fight, that groundbreaking fight, done. Because then he can make any fight he wants to and get anybody money. You might see me in there for $100,000, getting my ass whooped by Tyron Woodley or something.
I would love to see that.
Why not?
I mean, yeah, that would be incredible stuff.
It would. How much money is it for you to get you train and get your ass whooped by somebody?
Well,
$100,000 sounds.
I think you'd sell the fight quite well. I think, if you go mic skills, I think you'd definitely be up there. I think you would need a good percentage of the cut for that mic skill work that you've got going on there.
Oh yeah, I'm whooping his ass.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When I get knocked out, he's gonna respect me though. So I'm not gonna cross the line and say his kids are ugly. Well, no, if his kids are ugly, I'll tell him. But like that's different. That's a little different. I'm not gonna say like Mike Tyson. You brought up Mike Tyson talking about. He said I'm gonna eat his children. Like I'm not gonna tell him I'm gonna
eat his
cannibalize
children.
his.
I'm the best ever. That's one of the best freestyles I've ever heard in my life.
You like Mike Tyson or Lennox Lewis better?
Ooh, well, obviously being a Brit, but
yeah, I went there.
If you're asking who's the better fighter,
it's Lennox Lewis.
It's Lennox Lewis.
If
you're asking me, so just to do this a bit quickly, because we are pushed for time, and I do want to get to this last segment. But let's do this real quick. Who for you is the greatest boxer of all time?
Now, when we say that, are we talking about just skills or everything?
That is the exact question of who you think is the greatest of all time. It's whatever you use as a systemic measure to make that selection. I think it's not just one thing. I think it's whatever you think is the most important attributes to collect together and make your pick.
Westling's spoiled everything for me, so it's going to be an overall thing. It always has to be overall. Like, who's the best overall? So that includes Mike's skills. Who can sell that fight? Muhammad Ali. He said he was the greatest of all time, and that's what we say. If he fooled me, if he tricked me, if he wasn't the best skilled fighter, fine. He lost it and got his title back too, which is part of the story. Got to have a great story. Got to be able to talk. Muhammad Ali, there's no better story than him. They just celebrated. So I'm watching the news, Chicago news, while we're doing this. That's why I said, oh, my God. I thought we had another injury on the Bulls. I was like, oh, my God, no. In the middle of a point I was making. But also they were saying they were celebrating their first Muhammad Ali Day in Illinois. That's huge, So my point being is he's got a day after him now. I love Mike Tyson. Very close second. I think Mike Tyson might beat Muhammad Ali. It's a big mic because I'm not sure, man. Like Muhammad Ali was extremely skilled. When it comes to Mike skills, Mike Tyson didn't have like skills. He just said shit. Even better, right? He was the first Derek Lewis. So
I think, so for me, I agree. For me, Muhammad Ali is the greatest of all time. Take a lot of different things into that. I just wanted to throw that out there because, obviously in the weeks to come, people will start to get a bit of a understanding of who we are, what our thoughts and things. And I just thought it would be good to get sort of our picks, our personality type things, what we think, what we rate, who we rate, what we like and stuff. But I think it'd be good to maybe do that again. Obviously the MMA version for next week's show. But yeah, Muhammad Ali for me is the greatest of all time in the boxing. But obviously being an MMA show, I would like to perhaps get your thoughts on some, start of 2022, new year, and a big year for the UFC mainly, big year for MMA as always, but I've just got the rankings up here, and I was just curious if I was to throw some names at you if we go from, we've kind of covered flyweight and bantamweight. We could do bantamweight quickly, but I'm just going to throw some names at you, and I'd like you to give me a fight. Doesn't have to be for the title, but a fight that you are most looking forward to in 2022.
Okay.
So obviously the bantamweight division, you've got Aljamain Sterling, the champion with high quotation marks, bold quotation marks from them. Peter Yan, TJ Dillashaw, Jose Aldo.
I don't want to see those two fight at all. I don't want to see Jan and Sterling fight again. I don't think Sterling deserves it, especially with what he's doing now. I don't want to see them fight again, like ever. I don't. I don't even want there to be a slight puncher's chance that he could beat Jan ever. So I hate Aljamain. I legitimately hate him. I say a lot of stuff on shows where I just can't meet people. A lot of people want to talk and stuff. If you ever get an interview with Aljamain Sterling, tell him I said fuck you because I don't like him. Anyway, that's not even something I should be saying. But personally, look, man, we do this stuff seriously, and for him to do what he did is a slap in the face to all of us. How dare he, man? How dare? And I'm not letting him off the hook. I don't want to do an interview with this dude and all that stuff. He's trash. I hope he doesn't get that fight. So people will be like, oh, well, they never got the fight. Oh, somebody else whoops his ass first. Keep going so I can tell you who's going to whoop his ass.
Yeah, so we have TJ Dillashaw.
That one. There you go. Sterling Dillashaw.
For me, I mean, the bantamweight division is now getting talked about as probably the deepest division in the UFC. And lightweight has always sort of ruled that for the last few years. But you look at the names from, 15 deep. It's crazy. The level that there is there. I think I'm going to go. For me, the fight I would probably most be looking forward to is your favorite UFC fighter Sean O'Malley taking on Marlon Vera, Chito Vera in a rematch. For because obviously both ranked.
Yeah, I really want to see that. Actually, I really, really do. I'm not even lying. Yeah, that's high on my list because I got a feeling Sean O'Malley actually wins. I think. Yeah. Here's the thing. I think it's all downhill from there. In order for him to win, it's like when you see when in other sports when you play someone once in a season, a couple times a season, and they have to play you to the very end of the game. It's a close game. I think he's going to give away way too much of who he is and how he is as a fighter in that fight, and everybody's going to pick him apart after that. They're going to see the hole in his game that they can exploit, and he's done.
Yeah.
So Vera will be his undoing, just not in the way we think.
I think that's a good point. I think because the fact that Jan and Sterling's already announced, and you look down, and I think, from 2 to 5 in the rankings, I think they sort of match themselves. I'm just sort of like looking around, and I'm like, who, because you got to take the fan aspect into it, and like say what you want about Sean O'Malley, he does bring a crowd. So
yeah, no, that's part of his game. I gotta respect the game.
Oh, I know you respect that. Yeah.
He can, like you say, he can sell a fight, and that's part of it. I don't like him. I say I hate him. I don't. He's not Aljamain Sterling. I mean, he's not walking around with belts he don't deserve. He's just talking. He chirps a lot, and I hate that. He chirps. Whatever. I mean, he has the potential to back it up, though. He actually does. So I can only hate it so much. So I'm ready if he can back it up. I just said I think he'll win this next fight. If he fights Vera, I think he'll win that. I think that he'll become Fedor Emelianenko after that, though. Remember when Fedor started getting knocked out? First time it was over. First time he got knocked out, all that shit ended for him. So
had a bit of resurgence recently, though, Fedor.
Yeah. I mean, who has he been
not
fighting?
Fighting anyone, though.
Right, he fought the mailman? What the?
Yeah. I think he fought my neighbor last. I'm not sure.
Right. Bar patron. Bar patron number 6. A little disrespect. No.
Yeah, hell of disrespect.
No, he's not fighting anybody. That's the problem with Bellator. But man, here's the thing. You get Jake Paul involved. You get Brock Lesnar. You get Fedor. Oh, at any age, we want to see Fedor and Brock because we talked about it when Brock was in the WWE. We said that. We were talking about it. It was like, imagine if he were to fight MMA and boom, he started fighting. So, shit, 2022, we talking for real? Brock, Fedor.
I mean, that's the fight. That's the fight 10
it's
years ago, but that's the fight.
Would you rather watch Brock Fedor or Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell?
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, Brock Fedor. We've seen
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I think that is a bit of wishful thinking. But you never know.
Yeah, but it's hype. You can bring him out with let me stop fantasy booking it, but I was to say bring him out with Walter and Imperium, man. And then we got it going.
I don't think Brock Lesnar wants to go anywhere other than WWE right now. I think the man's killing it with his new look and new promo style. I'm quite enjoying it actually. So
me too. I don't think he should get in there and get his ass whipped either. Because most likely I don't know if Fedor will knock him out, man. I don't know. I don't think he's strong enough to anymore. I think he would have.
Fedor's looking good, but
he never looked good. That's cap.
No. Yeah, he's never looked physically good in his life, but
no. I'd never count him out. He's one of those guys you never count out, and he can still fight, and that's something that like Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz can't do. You know.
Right. So. Moving
on. Still getting his ass knocked out by who was that? Vitor Belfort, by the way. That was terrible.
Yeah,
I say that. No. I keep moving on. Sorry.
No, but you're right. I mean, just quickly, like I'm actually really enjoying the whole. I mean, that was obviously a part of Triller, but which say what you like. I mean I think that wasn't good. I think that was a bad look for them. But other than that, I think Triller and this hybrid of MMA boxing rule thing they've tried out and things like. I mean, listen, let's be honest. They're most likely paying the athletes very well, the fighters. Sorry, and I mean, it's maybe not for everyone, but. I think for at least some fighters that perhaps fought for bigger organizations and they're realizing this is the biggest paycheck we are getting in our whole career. So someone's benefiting from it.
And it was a whole man. So I brought it up. I was just 2 older guys fighting. It was like, okay, let's go. But moving on.
So moving on to, in my opinion, still the best division. In the sport, lightweight, champion Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Beneil Dariush, Makhachev, who are fighting. I think in a month's time, you've got Michael Chandler, RDA, Tony Ferguson, Hooker. You've always got Conor McGregor. I mean, who would you say that you're looking forward to fighting at lightweight?
as much as he's a jerk, Conor McGregor, looking forward to it because it gets me excited about the sport.
Yeah.
You have to be talking about it. And that's what thing boxing missed before Muhammad Ali came along. But guess what? Muhammad Ali wouldn't be doing it without a wrestler by the name of Gorgeous George, because somebody has to pull from something. You know, boxing stole from professional wrestling. Professional wrestling steals from the NFL. So and boxing at one point. So that's fine. I get it. You know, and I'm all about that. I need to have someone sell us on this stuff. I want to see Conor McGregor in Triller. How much money would he be making there? Beating up anybody. I want to see him in Triller, and I want to see him in PFL. I want to see him pulling double duty. I want to see him boxing and doing MMA and winning and just talking all the shit he can everywhere. Who's going to stop him? Conor McGregor and Jake Paul will just start writing checks, man. You know? People just gonna start writing checks to him, and he's just gonna start writing checks to Conor. That's what I want to see. I want to see someone doing the talking. Charles Oliveira looks great. He can talk. You know, he ain't, not necessarily, but like what he has to say is gonna sell that fight, and he's gonna look good doing it. Especially him and Conor McGregor get up there wearing those nice suits. So I want to see them do it because Conor McGregor doesn't have a whole lot left in him on the UFC level, the super elite level.
Yeah, I mean, if Conor McGregor fights for Triller, it's going to be one of those. I mean, have you seen that Floyd Mayweather's next boxing exhibition fight is going to be on top of some building in Abu Dhabi or something? That'll be Conor McGregor soon.
he could have fought Woodley if we're thinking about it. Like he could have fought Woodley. He could have fought.
Yeah.
He could fight the Diaz brothers, both of them, same time. Who cares? Like no, he can fight Nate Diaz again and get paid what he want to get paid instead of waiting to do it over there. Boxing wing, man. And you know who is going to draw the attention of is going to get really pissed because he's going to say it's a circus and you're disrespecting my sport. Canelo Alvarez is going to get pissed. The king will stand up off his throne and he's going to want to fight somebody. Who he's going to fight, I don't know. But if you're Jake Paul and you got somebody lined up and for the right money, you get his ass out there. We still ain't seen the third Triple G fight. So... Right?
So many fights.
I'm saying we ain't seen Canelo and Triple G. Boom. Got it. Give him the zone crap too. Give that to Jake Paul. Just give it to him. He's a social media savant. Give that bullshit to him. Let him turn the zone into what it's supposed to be. Make him and Canelo fight and then eventually become business partners and let's go.
Yeah, just to finish, I think I would agree with Conor McGregor. I would attach his name with Tony Ferguson.
Oh, yeah. I'm not 100% he wins that fight because it might go to the ground and that might be it.
What a crazy turn of events, though. If you said that those two names 5 years ago, it was one of the highly... which it still is highly anticipated, but it was one of the most highly skilled bouts as well. Now it's two guys that seem to have lost all their ability in a way. It's crazy.
All their luster too, But yet, no, Conor McGregor with just about anybody in there, you got to get your mileage out of him if you're UFC because it might be big things on the horizon. I think the most important thing Conor McGregor could hope for, he needs to lean into that bad boy persona, but he needs to also be able to make it work best for him. And I think Jake Paul is the guy that does that. Jake Paul can talk all this crap to you. At the same time, he's getting people paid more money than they've ever been paid in their lives.
Facts.
And he's telling you he's going to do it. And there's nothing you can do about it. And it's not even a bad thing. So at the end of the day, what do you want? You want the money? You want the fame? You want the prestige? Or you want to keep doing what you've been doing and just be insane? It's insane to stay in UFC and continue. Ngannou wants to leave. Jon Jones isn't even there. This is the reality of what we're talking about. They don't want to be there. They may as well fight for him. People are going to say, you're crazy. I'm like, how crazy am I? Neither one of these guys like the UFC and want to be with them. How many other people are like that? Henry Cejudo retired.
Because of money.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Who's Masvidal going to fight? Kobe Covington, right? Cool.
Yeah, that's...
Give shit about that.
I was going to say, welterweight is like we don't even need to talk about that. That's Kobe Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. That's the only fight I care about. I mean, oh my God, what a fight!
Because it's just literally it's those two, and then the champ. That's it. There's nobody else in that division we need to talk about. I think I want to jump to light heavy if I can. I want Jan Blachowicz to go to heavyweight.
Interesting.
Yep. I think we need more Cyril Gans, and I think he's going to be completely unstoppable if he stops Francis Ngannou. I think Jon Jones don't want no part of that. I think Jan Blachowicz would absolutely want every piece of that. Give him Stipe. If he beats Stipe, okay then. If not, that's a lot of matchups there with Jan Blachowicz. Lots of them. You need a farm system, UFC. Get some fresh meat in here. Get some people who can just develop athletes. Develop well-rounded athletes. They should have a UFC like just straight up one center. I don't know where it would be. Just put it somewhere, probably Florida, because that's where they have all the live events like AEW and WWE. That's where they were based out of. Go to Florida, get you a center, and just get all your coaches, every team, everybody, and put them under one roof. Have different offices, different gyms. You can go and learn from this camp, that camp. Wouldn't that be great if you could just go straight over from Gracie to whoever else you want to go to and work on your boxing? And then you do all of that, and now you got athletes, you got fighters. And if they don't you can at least tie that into what they're paid. So you're giving them paid training, right? You got a facility, you make billions, you got a facility, and they don't have to pay for their training anymore. Then you don't even have to pay them that much more because it's just whatever they bring in, right? It's a good way to cut out the money without giving them extra money. Make a facility. But either way you do it, train some people up and get a damn farm system. There's nobody in here to fight. Who the hell is Derek Lewis going to fight next?
Well, he's fighting Tuivasa, which is...
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought that happened already. Sorry.
Yeah,
and probably Greg Hardy after that. Who
fights this Saturday? Greg Hardy, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I quite liked how you skipped on middleweight there because quickly, I think middleweight's lost a bit of something. I'm not sure. Adesanya, he is a star.
They got a weak champion. They got a really weak champion. It's weird, but they do.
It's a bit.
He went up there and got beat, and he went up a level and got beat. Now he didn't get his ass whooped, but he got beat.
Yeah.
And
I just think it's a bit weird. Like there seems to just be a bit of deflation in the division. You've got this rematch with Robert Whittaker, which would be my pick, but at the same time, it's like, but I mean, who's really? No one's calling for it, so yeah.
You don't even care. Like, yeah, I want to see that, but not really.
I mean, you'll watch it, but you're not. It's not one of your fights that you're going to pick to see this year, is it?
Yeah, I'm not. Nobody's clamoring for it, and that's fine. That's going to happen. It just is. We're not going to be a fan of every single fight. That's fine, but they don't have anything on the horizon that's really, really making you want to continue on in the sport for years and years. I don't see people rising up that I'm like, Charles Oliveira is a guy that one of my co-hosts, he was like, oh man, he's going to be something. Just give him a few years. And we're there right now. And I saw him. I said, Charles Oliveira is, yep. I said, well, before I even start doing the podcast, I said, if Masvidal changed some things up, he's a middle of the road guy that might be able to rekindle his career. I didn't think he was just gonna start knocking people out like that, but sure, man, you get Masvidal with Jake Paul. Woo! I don't know what he can do in a boxing ring, but I'm thinking Roy Jones Jr. He won't be as skilled as him, but he'll be doing all the crazy stuff that he was doing.
I think
and
if
that
Masvidal loses to Colby Covington next month or the month, I think it's March 5th. I think Masvidal's next fight is against Jake Paul in a boxing ring.
I hope so. I think he's about his money. And
What a fight that is.
He'll probably knock Jake Paul out, to be honest. I know Jake Paul's a better boxer. The problem is that Masvidal's striking is just super unorthodox. He's going to play with Jake Paul.
And
If he can get in, if he could get in there, he could get in there. That he's got some scary power and he's got scary speed. But let's be for real. Jake Paul probably gonna beat his ass. It's boxing, man. You know what I mean? It's boxing. Don't get in there. Don't. I know several Golden Glove boxers, former Golden Glove boxers. My father used to box. Don't get your ass in there if you don't know what you're doing. Don't. It doesn't matter who it is, man. It could be a woman. It could be a child. If you in there and you don't know how to box, it's going to be nighty-night for you. I don't care who it is. Whatever level you're at, whatever level they're at, if you're not a boxer and you get in there, you're going to end up like everybody who's stepped in front of Jake Paul so far.
So, light heavyweight, we kind of discussed. You said you wanted Jan Blachowicz to move up to heavyweight. I think it's quite obvious that it would be, for me, Yuri versus Glover, the current champion at that weight class. That's obviously the fight.
I want to see Reyes, to be honest. I want to see him go to heavy. I want to see the people that Jon Jones is ducking. I want to see them travel up there. It's not like it's unheard of. Gustafsson did it. Alexander Gustafsson. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, though.
Yeah, that was frustrating.
Ass whooped. I knew it was going to happen, too. I was like, hey, he ain't built for it. He don't have a heart because heavyweight's not as technical as – it's just not. The best technical heavyweight fight ever fought was by Daniel Cormier for 4 rounds, and he lost to Stipe. I just said this earlier. He lost. That was the best anyone's ever done at any time as a heavyweight. Yep, better than Fedor, too. I mean, but, different styles and stuff. I'm just saying that it is what it is, man. We don't need to argue about it and fight about it amongst ourselves. Not that you and I are, but
yeah.
Like, he shouldn't have went up there. He thought he was gonna meet Jon Jones at the top. And I'm gonna be fair too. I've said this a lot. Jon Jones absolutely 100% does not deserve to fight the champ. He absolutely needs to fight somebody first. And I think that somebody should be Alistair Overeem, but could be someone else. I think he should fight a veteran heavyweight fighter. But you know what? He's scared to fight a Rosenstrike because he'll knock his ass out. He don't want to fight a Curtis Blades because Curtis Blades might knock his ass out. Jon Jones is scared, bro. He's scared. He's wolfing. He's talking. I hear him doing everything but signing papers. Everything. Anyway. What do you see Dominic? We talked about light heavyweight a little bit. What are your thoughts on Dominic Reyes and where he should go after he got his ass knocked out?
Without trying to dabble in MMA math, because I know that doesn't work.
Kind of, a little bit.
Well, if it does, I think Dominic Reyes is he was the light heavyweight champion, but it's I think he had. We were talking earlier about having it's your night, and that perhaps a performance of a lifetime. I don't know if that was a performance of a lifetime. It certainly looked it when he fought Jan Blachowicz for the vacant title in his next fight after the Jon Jones fight. But I think Dominic Reyes showed in the Jon Jones fight that at the time when you watched that he's just beaten, in my opinion, he beat him, and he beat one of the greatest of all time. So what does that do for him moving forward? Does the loss to Jan and the bad loss to Yuri Prochazka, where does he go now? I mean, imagine being Dominic Reyes, where you think you did enough to beat one of the greatest fighters ever, and you should have won the belt, and you're now facing a 2-fight losing streak, and both of them were bad knockouts. So
because his problem was that he thought he won instead of understanding that he didn't. Because he went in there thinking he was just going to beat Jan Blachowicz, and he got his ass. I don't know what he was thinking. He started trading with him. And then once you start trading with somebody like that, it only takes a little bit to knock you out. And he got caught slipping. He could have won that fight had he not.
Yeah.
I don't think he was going to win the fight. When I saw the fight start to happen, it was clear he was going to lose. But he could have. He had a chance. He could have won had he not traded with him. Started trading, got his ass knocked out. I think, this is what happens in the UFC. You get that hunger until you get there, and then it's like, I don't know. I guess I'll just I should beat Jan. So, nope. Blachowicz knocked him out, and then now, Yuri knocked him out. That's why I'm saying, stop cutting weight. Get lazy. Don't get fat. Stop cutting weight and go knock some fools out up at heavyweight, man. Let's go.
I
Knock some people out your.
Yeah, I think he'd have a great physical speed and athletic ability over a lot of guys at heavyweight. For me, I don't know if Dominic Reyes.
Stipe wouldn't have problems with them.
Oh, Stipe, that would be a great fight.
It would, but like Stipe, I think Stipe would have a lot of problems with them, and that's a good thing. That bodes well for Dominic Reyes. I think Dominic Reyes, although smaller, would be a problem for Cyril Gane. He would. If that power transfers over, you in trouble, man. We know Reyes can knock people out, but man, that farm system really, if they had a farm system, you'd have somebody ready to go. Instead, Dominic Reyes getting his ass knocked out just on the daily now. What are you going to do? That's a spot you thought was going to be filled with a star, and now it's not.
I think there's something to be said about that sort of maybe hybrid between heavyweight and lightweight divisions, where there's guys, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", and they're maybe a bit on the small side in terms of how physically gifted and toned and shredded and yet you think, like you're saying, add a bit of muscle mass, add a bit more weight. It doesn't have to be fat, but and have that speed and athletic advantage over some of the bigger guys at heavyweight. I mean, Dominic Reyes could be one. Anthony Smith could be another. Rakic. But the thing is, they're at the top of. I mean, what do you do if you're Anthony Smith? He's ranked 4 in the light heavyweight division, but the champion's a guy that absolutely mauled him.
Anthony Smith is a bum. I cannot stand him at all. I gave him his props for him not, saying I quit in that Jon Jones fight where Jon Jones cheated, because that's what he does. Jon Jones cheats, and he has a loss to prove that he's a cheater. He hits people illegally all the time. You don't believe me? Go look at his record and go see the time he got caught, and they had to say he lost because of it. Anyway,
yeah.
Anthony Smith is such a fraud. He's so fraudulent about the type of fighter he is. He acts so big and tough. And then he goes in there and lays an egg. And I'm like, who was you talking to? Did you think you were fighting me in there? Like you thought you was fighting my grandmama or something? You're fighting a grown-ass man, and you didn't do anything you said you were going to do. Now, look, talk is one thing, but to be so sure of yourself, which Anthony Smith really is, so sure of yourself. I don't give a damn what's going on in your life or how hard you had it or what your story is. Just say, hey, man, I'm going to go out there and do my best. Okay? I'm going to go out there, I'm going to fight, I'm going to try to come home with the W. Not, I'm this type of fighter. I'm this, I'm that. You're not selling me. You're not selling me. You're selling yourself. You're trying to talk you into thinking you good. And you might believe it, but I don't. Forget about him. He should move to heavyweight or get the hell up out of MMA. He's just gonna leave MMA, man. He's one of those clowns. Hey, Anthony Smith, bye. You're gonna leave. You're gonna leave. Goodbye. He's gonna leave. Who's he gonna fight? What's he gonna do? You asked me the question, what does Anthony Smith do? Nothing. Sit his ass at home and not fight. Because he didn't beat Jon Jones when he had the chance. He was so outclassed, it was disgusting. Get the hell out of the UFC and go to Bellator, where they're hungrier than you and they're gonna beat your ass anyway. Good night.
Sorry. We discussed heavyweight, and I think both of us are settled on Francis versus Jon Jones if it happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one we just have to hope for that. I want to see Jon Jones lose immediately, so I would love to see him fight Cyril Gane and run into that buzzsaw. But I guarantee you he won't. Not somebody who's well-rounded like that. Look at every fight he's ever taken. Like he does pick his fights pretty well. He didn't. I ain't fighting Dominic Reyes again. Why not? You lost the first time. You know who else beat him? Thiago Alves.
Thiago.
Yeah, I'm not. Whoever the dude is with the Thor helmet. Yeah, I messed up. I'm sorry. Too many Thiagos. Thiago.
I think it's Santos, isn't it?
Yeah, whatever. That dude. I don't know. I said out.
He's got a big Thor
somewhere.
hammer on his chest. No one will miss that.
Yeah, that guy. He tore all his ligaments in his legs, and he still pursued Jon Jones as Jon Jones proceeded to go backwards. Nope. You can't win the fight that way. Sorry. He lost the fight when he started to run. Jon Jones is a runner. He's a runner, man. He's got his track shoes on all the time. Straight up. They should call him Usain Bolt.
Strawweight, women's strawweight. Move on to the women's divisions now. I don't think we've talked about Rose or anyone in the women's strawweight division.
No, we talked about this a little bit, but it was something different. I don't know who she fights next. I really don't. I don't think she has a contender yet. I think she should just wait. I do. I think she just. Oh no! She's fighting
Carla Esparza.
Yeah, and that's gonna be garbage. I don't want to watch that.
Yeah, I was thinking when you saying that, I was like, yeah, I know what you're saying on the grand scheme of things. Like, you won, the last two fights with Zhang Weili, the first one,
yeah,
that's exciting. And then you go from that to Carla Esparza. I mean, it might still be a decent fight, but there's no.
She's not a exciting fighter, and neither is Thug Rose most of the time. To be real fair about it, like. No. Okay, I'll say this. It was probably who she was fighting. I won't do that to her. It's probably who she was fighting. But, like, that's the problem. You can't make a name for yourself by beating anybody. All the names have been beaten by Amanda Nunes. All of them. That's why she has a name. Because she beat every former champion before her. Every one of them. So, strawweight's trash. They need a farm division. They need an NXT, 205 Live, if you will, even an AEW Dark. They need to get some talent off the indie scene or something, because it's poor.
I mean, if strawweight's trash, then what does it make the women's flyweight and bantamweight divisions? I mean, Jesus.
What happened to Meek Anderson? I don't even think there should be like a women's weight class. Just let them all fight, because there's nobody in there, man. Nobody. Like, what? Where's Megan Anderson at? She got her ass whooped. I
think Megan Anderson is still under contract, but I think she's going to be released and go and fight somewhere else. I'm not sure.
She needs to go to PFL. Somebody needs to take care of that Harris girl, that Harris lady. She's super garbage. I've never heard someone who's never fought anybody meaningful talk so much shit. Wow. When a real fighter gets a hold of you, you're out of here. Kayla Harris, is that her name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look. She fought somebody who was like 1-3 and talking big shit. I want Ronda Rousey. Like, man, please, you don't stop it. It's like she's what they thought Jake Paul was. A liar and a charlatan. She's a charlatan. Somebody for real is gonna Chukagian. Caitlin Chikadze can come in there and beat the holy hell out of Kayla Harris. It would be disgusting. She'd make her look like meat wad from Oscar Teen Hunger Force when she was done. Just saying. Anyway, that's too much. Well, I think when we talking about the women's division, because it's just really one, we should just lump them all together because they could just drop some weight and fight each other, right?
I think a lot of them do intertwine.
And
Just
it's confusing.
down to the poor depth in the divisions. But I mean, flyweight, you've got, for me, the only thing that I can think of is Talia Santos, who's on a bit of a win streak, going up against Shevchenko. But does anyone want to see that? Not really.
Nope.
Bantamweight, you've obviously got Pena and Amanda Nunes rematch, and then outside of that, Misha Tate's just lost. I mean,
good. She's a loser. I knew she was gonna lose.
It's just.
That's mean. That's mean. I don't mean to be mean. But come on, we're analysts, right? We saw that coming? She's not that good. Like the fight she won, she arguably shouldn't have. If we're looking at what should have happened, but like if you hungry, Misha Tate ain't getting past you. And the division has grown so far beyond what she was capable of. I want to see, and I can't stand Holly Holm either. I want to see Holly Holm come and snatch that belt off Pena. Come and snatch it. Come get your money, Holly, because that's the only time you're gonna come get it. Come get your money, like Misha Tate took your money. It's your time. You want a belt. Come get it. Snatch it off her. And who's gonna be Holly Holm? Who's gonna beat her?
Oh, that's tough. And Holly Holm's still very tough out for anyone.
Very, very. Even she was very predictable. That's why Nunes took her out with the same thing she does. But even Cyborg couldn't take her out. Holly Holm is the standard for women's MMA. If we're talking about championship level, that's it. If you cannot beat Holly Holm, and she went the distance with Shevchenko. Like those are two champs, man. She went the distance with. Like she's not a chump. It's just that comparatively, she's a chump. Like she got her ass whooped against those two people. But she still was in there with them. And the only other people I can really kind of think of is like Maya. But she lost. So whatever. MMA math, it's like football math and basketball math. Yeah, just because you beat this person doesn't mean you can beat the other people. But it stands to reason that there's a standard, and that like if you can't pass that standard, then you shouldn't be able to leapfrog past it. I think Pena being gifted this win, she's gonna run into that. She's gonna hit that standard, and I don't think she passed that standard yet. To be for real, I think Holly Holm beat her ass. Like head kick, done, boom. I don't think Pena punches hard enough. She might get Holly Holm on the ground, but Holly Holm is deceptively strong. Cyborg wasn't strong enough to finish her, and Shevchenko actually wasn't strong enough to finish her. She couldn't physically keep her down long enough to do it. So no, I do not think that Pena could get past the standard that is Holly Holm. What do you think?
I think Holly Holm, without being disrespectful, has become without being disrespectful, but then a way to say something disrespectful. I think she has become perhaps one of those gatekeepers, which is crazy.
No, she is. She absolutely is, and I think somebody snuck in that gate though. I think Pena's gate. I think she snuck in the gate. I want to see her. I want to see them fight. I want to know if Juliana Pena is actually good enough. I don't believe she is. I really don't. I think she's right below that level. But there's a level, and I think she's below it. I think she's below Holly Holm. I don't like Holly Holm. I just don't. Like, I think she's too whatever. I don't like her. I don't like a lot of these fighters. Whatever. They just think they're something they're not. Like so many times. And it rubs me the wrong way. Like Sean O'Malley, man, you putting on sunglasses and robes? Remember they cut a vignette? They had a video package for him. lost.
Yeah.
Wasted all that time on this clown with WWE style promos, and you lost.
I think he'd be good in WWE.
Yeah, he would. He absolutely would.
I think he'd be a good heel in WWE.
I think he'd be a better babyface, actually.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Because he's a natural heel. I think he'll be like the opposite of the Miz. Like he'll be a great talker, but like he'll be a good babyface. I think he's a good street babyface. Like I got it out the mud. Like I'm always fight for mine. I think usually you're the opposite of what you are. Like Miz is a nice dude, so he's a heel. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think we've gone a little bit over time, but that was still interesting about fights that we are looking forward to. But perhaps just one more. In 2022, what fighter are you most looking forward to seeing back out competing this year?
Ciryl Gane. Yep, I think it all falls on him. We need heavyweights. I mean, because if I don't pick Ciryl Gane, I probably have to go with like Deontay Wilder because he needs to fight Anthony Joshua. The heavyweights is where I'm getting at. That's the most important division in all of combat sports. Don't believe me? Go look at Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is the proof of it. You can bring a pro wrestler and drop him into MMA, and it's fine. CM Punk almost ruined all of that, but he did. He almost ruined it all. In fact, he did for the most part. But a lot of people, there's a crossover there, and I like crossovers. Tyson Fury crossed over into WWE, and I think Ciryl Gane is going to cause the change in mixed martial arts at the heavyweight level that should have happened probably 2 decades ago. Now, I know that's saying a lot. I know it is. But look at how absurdly trained, and like you were talking about, athletes. Like they weren't really athletes then. They're athletes now. They're not just some fat ass throwing punches. They're athletes now. Ciryl Gane needs to be that guy you see and go, oh, that's an athlete. We got athletes out here now. Let's see what this big guy could do. Like, put him on, let Ciryl Gane win, put him on ESPN, and let him charm you. Now, I know you could do that with Ngannou too, but if he gets his ass whooped, we can't do it with him. So we need someone else to do it. Ciryl Gane will cause the evolution in the heavyweight division that we've been needing. We'll see Dominic Reyes, the Blachowicz, all of those guys. We'll see them start to come up, do what they need to do. And we'll just have people naturally just fighting at bigger weights. Maybe flyweight needs to be gone, or get some good ones. But what's that guy that Israel Adesanya beat the hell out of? His last title defense. Yes, Paulo Costa. Move up, Paulo Costa. You be a great light heavyweight. What are you doing? Get your ass.
Should just move to heavyweight. Forget light heavyweight.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just move up. Just move up. Fight at your natural weight. Stop being late. Stop being lazy in terms of, because I know cutting weight isn't lazy, but it's lazy to fight someone that's smaller than you, so to speak. Get your goofy ass out of here and stop trying to beat up, oh, this guy's smaller than me. Like, that's what Conor McGregor was doing. That's what he was doing. And I never forgive that chump that gave him that title and made him a double champ. He's getting his ass whooped ever since then. Who made Conor McGregor the double champ?
Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah, you bum. You damn bum. He came over from Bellator like Michael Chandler did. He was the first one. I was like, man, this guy's that dude. Watch out for him. Yeah, he got the title, right? Let McGregor come in and take everything from him. And Michael Chandler was actually the guy we thought Eddie Alvarez was going to be. Anyway, I digress. Heavyweights. Ciryl Gane. That's the guy I'm looking forward to. If you beat Ngannou, there's a lot of promise there. And to keep Jon Jones bitch ass on the sideline because he'd be scared to fight him.
So for Sean, his fighter is Cyril Gane, and for Rhys, his fighter is Francis Ngannou. So who would
One
have
of
thought?
us.
Who would have thought they would be fighting in less than a week's time, and both of our picks for a full year will be out within the week. So
That's how you got to do it, baby. All or nothing. Balls to the wall. We still got time, though. Think about that. We still got time to where they might end up fighting at this time next year. It's not impossible. This is only the first time they're fighting, and he might fight again next year at this time. It'd be perfect. It'd be a beautiful story for whoever gets that ass knocked out. It might happen to him again, but if it don't, that's going to be the third year we're going to be talking about that. Think about it. This fight could happen 3 times, once each year.
Crazy.
This is the first meeting between the two. So that's how we got to project out to the future. We're not too far off in our thinking. We really aren't. We're really on to something with this. And I didn't know Cyril Gane, you hear that, oh, this guy's this good and he might have all the tools. And then I saw it against a Derek Lewis. And I knew he was for real. And I was like, okay, all right. I'm ready. Let's go. He can't talk, but he's charming. I can say that. He's got a good smile. That's good. So does Ngannou. I think this is the fight that lays out everything for possibly all of UFC. This is the fate of UFC is in this. Ngannou loses, UFC is done. Cyril Gane wins, but Cyril Gane loses, and UFC will thrive. One shall stand and one shall fall.
What a fight we've got to look forward to this coming Saturday with the heavyweight champion of the world, Francis Ngannou, versus the interim champion, much to Sean's pleasure of him having that title. But what a way to start the year. It's a great fight, and what a way to start this new journey for myself and Sean with this exciting and interesting little setup we've got here with our podcast. And thank you all for listening. This is Sporticus, and you have been sports entertained.